Ontario landlords need to understand that the province is using them to provide affordable housing because they don't want to shoulder the cost or responsibility of doing it themselves. This Ontario landlord is owed $25,000 from a tenant that will not leave. They've already been to the Ontario Landlord and Tenant Board. They've won 3 times, but the tenant has appealed, so they still stay in the property. Quote, he has had issues with the current tenants over the past 4 years. He's been before the Ontario Landlord and Tenant Board to evict them 3 times, yet each time there has been an appeal. Now that the appeal process has been exhausted, the tenants have decided to go to court. Quote, when I asked for my rent, the tenants said, we are in court. And when we're in court, I don't have to pay. While this drags on, the landlord still needs to pay all the maintenance, insurance, property tax, capital expenditure, and the mortgage. They're actually selling their RRSP, their retirement savings plan, in order to keep up. Quote, even though a judge told the tenants they must pay $5,000 in January and $6,000 in February to the landlord, they just ignored it. Quote, I have to keep paying the mortgage. I had to sell my RSPs to keep the mortgage going. They're not paying a nickel. No one's going to educate Ontario landlords, so I'm going to have to do it. The number 1 rule, if you want to be a landlord, is to pick a location that's landlord friendly. Rule number 1, that is it. Ontario is not landlord friendly. Never was, never will be. Ontario landlords need to understand that the province is using them to provide affordable housing because they don't want to shoulder the cost or responsibility of doing it themselves. The backlog at the Ontario Landlord and Tenant Board will never clear up. Ever.
Before they moved in, now he has tenants that won't pay the rent or move out.
This looks like this is a professional tenant.
Latchman Rin says he's had issues with the tenants over the past 4 years, and he's been before the Ontario Landlord and Tenant Board to evict them 3 times. Each time there's been an appeal, and now that the appeal process has been exhausted, they decided to go to court.
When I asked for my rent, he said, you know, we are in court. So if we are in court, you don't have to pay.
Latchman says he's currently owed $25,000 in back rent. He says he's stuck paying the mortgage, property taxes, and some utility bills.
I have to continue paying the mortgage. I sell my RSP to keep the mortgage going. He's not paying a nickel.
Even though a judge told the tenants they must pay $5,000 in January and another $6,000 last month, they ignored it. They also ignored our phone calls.
We're here with your landlord. He says you haven't been paying the rent and you owe him about $25,000.
Latchman says he's fed up and wants out.
I give up. I want to get out of it. No more.
These are just massive tactics that these tenants are using because the times are tough. They're now resulting into abusing the system.
Ontario Landlords Watch, an advocacy group for landlords, says the system needs to change to deal with tenants who are exploiting the rules.
There's no reason for someone to stay in someone's unit that long and not be able to make any type of payment arrangements.
Latchman says he'll never be a landlord again and worries his tenants will stay in his home many months longer and never pay the rent they owe.
He come here and tell my wife, this case will be for years before you enter in court. I have enough of it. I cannot continue.
And according to its website, the Landlord and Tenant Board says it's working to improve its service timelines. Last year, it scheduled over 105,000 hearings and resolved almost 100,000 cases. It's the most cases it's dealt with in its history. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
Learn the lessons about real estate that your parents and teachers just don't know. Download my free newsletter linked off the bio. Good luck. Take care.